What if the best leadership lessons in Star Wars didn't come from a Jedi, but from an Imperial bureaucrat? Hey guys, I'm Kurt Doucette. I'm an executive coach, and today we are doing a deep dive on some Imperial leadership. Stick around, it's going to be pretty interesting. Hey guys, Kurt Doucette here. I'm an executive coach, and today we are looking at a leadership analysis of Major Partagaz from the Emmy Award-winning show Andor. A subscriber reached out to me asking for my take on this Major's leadership style. He does some pretty spectacular things developing his team, building psychological safety, and believe it or not, for an Imperial officer, a high level of emotional intelligence. We're going to see how all of those components combine to build loyalty within his team and to ensure that the mission is moving forward despite a number of obstacles. So let's take a look at these video clips and we'll break down what Major Partagaz is doing and why it works. So here's the first time that we see Major Partagaz. It is in season 1, episode 4. It's about 7 minutes into the episode, and we are having the stage set for the ISB, the Imperial Security Bureau. So the stage is going to be set. We're going to see a number of the supervisors interacting. We'll watch all the way through. It is just 2 minutes of interaction, and then I'll break down what is happening here and some of the signals that Major Partagaz is sending to his team. Let's take a watch.
With the next quarter's detention estimates expected to increase across the Rylos sector, any further erosion in local authority may require an increase in our black line budget.
And where would you target these new resources, Supervisor Grandy?
Increased surveillance, sir.
Looking for what?
Anti-imperial activity, as always.
Okay, so right here, we see something that is going to come up repeatedly with Major Partagaz. It is his use of questions. In the entire season 1 of Andor, Major Partagaz gets a little over 15 minutes of screen time. And in that time, he asks about 40 questions. That's on average over 2 questions per minute. This is one of the big things that leaders often miss. We often think that we need to be speaking to direct and to give instruction. The best leaders are those who are asking questions, who are listening, who are staying curious. So right out of the gate, our first introduction to Major Partagaz is him asking questions. Watch for that theme as we go throughout his interactions. He's going to ask a lot of questions.
Are you being intentionally vague?
Here again, he asks this question, are you being intentionally vague? It's still a question, but it's signaling that he knows there's more that is happening here. That Supervisor Grandy knows some information, but is withholding it. And so he asks that, are you being intentionally vague? It's very direct. It really cuts to the chase.
No, sir.
I'll expect specifics by the end of the day.
So right there, very quick turnaround. I'll expect specifics by the end of the day. He doesn't spend a lot of time trying to dig into why Supervisor Grandy was obfuscating, and he sets a very clear deadline. Expect specifics by the end of the day. This is one thing that I teach the executives that I work with. There are 3 components to an action item. It is who will do what by when. Leaders often miss that when part, but here he gets it. He says, I need specifics by the end of the day. Clear deadline. Let's keep watching.
Legret, what is this item from Marvalis 6?
Positive developments, sir. The dimensions of the conflict have diminished sufficiently that mining has resumed on the occupied land.
Storage issues with the displaced?
Ongoing.
As is your unfinished memorandum of recommendations regarding the problem.
My staff is awaiting an assessment from Marvalis 6's ministerial director.
Because they've done such an excellent job so far.
All right, so again, just rapid fire. He is bringing in these questions. So asking about the storage issues with the displaced, And when Legret says, oh, it's ongoing, he cuts right to the chase with him, saying, as is your unfinished memorandum of recommendations regarding the problem. So taking a current issue and tying it back to a missed expectation. That is doing a couple of things. One, it is putting Legret right on the spot, but it's also signaling to the rest of the team the high expectations, and we're going to see in a minute the consequences for missing those expectations. So let's keep watching.
What do we do here?
Sir?
What is our purpose, Legret?
On our Vala 6?
I open the question to the room. What do we do in this building? Why are we here? Anyone?
We're here to further security objectives by collecting intelligence, providing useful analysis, and conducting effective covert action, sir.
Very good, Dedra. That is verbatim from the ISB mission statement and wrong.
Oh, it's wrong. So she got it word for word from the ISB mission statement, and it's wrong. Suddenly, the whole room is alert. Wait a second, it's wrong. And he's going to go on to explain what they do, talk about them being healthcare providers. They locate germs, they destroy them, and it's all in an effort to maintain the control of the empire. But whenever, as leaders, we can flip the script a little bit, say something that it's a little bit jarring to drive home the point, get our team back on track, that is going to increase the attention and engagement. And Partagaz is doing that right here.
Security is an illusion. You want security? Call the Navy. Launch a regiment of troopers. We are health care providers. We treat sickness. We identify symptoms. We locate germs, whether they arise from within or have come from the outside. The longer we wait to identify a disorder, the harder it is to treat the disease. Do you understand my meaning, Legret?
Yes, sir.
Don't trouble yourself writing the memorandum. I'll reassign it.
And just like that, he reassigns the assignment. So he doesn't need to write the memorandum. He needs somebody else in that spot who will be able to identify the problem, move with purpose, and get the information, make the decisions that are needed. So there's the consequence. It signals those high expectations that he has for the team. And then if you can't meet them, he's not going to spend a lot of time. He's not going to berate his team. He is not going to throw them under the bus. He's not going to malign them. He's just going to say, you missed the expectation. We're moving on to something else here. And so then he moves on to his interaction with Blevin. We'll keep watching.
Blevin, Morlana's sector, this incident on Ferrix.
Corporate security, sir. They're still in charge out there. They tried to serve a warrant and ran into more trouble than they'd anticipated.
Trouble meaning what?
So there's that question again, trouble meaning what? So it's a good clarifying question. Never leave vague what can be specific. So he did the same thing with Supervisor Grandy when he said, are you being intentionally vague? Good leaders press for clarity. I've done this on my own team as well. When a leader will come in and say someone on their team is performing well, say time out, give me specifics. What do you mean that they're performing well? Give me the numbers. And then we can dig in and say, okay, are they actually performing well? Where's the room for improvement? And we can look and see, yes, they are actually performing at the level of expectation. And Partagaz is doing that right here. Blevin says they ran into trouble. Give me specifics. What do you mean by trouble?
Several dead, property damage, interruption of service. A stolen Imperial Starpath unit was recovered at the scene.
Those responsible.
Unknown, sir. I'm heading out immediately after this meeting.
We'll speak before you leave. Young,
Sir?
elaborate on these added protection requests.
And so then he moves on to his conversation with Young. Okay, this next scene, it's still on episode 4, season 1, and there is a conflict between Supervisor Blevin and Supervisor Dedra Miro. So Partagaz is going to come in, he's going to facilitate this conflict, and I want you to watch for how many questions he asks before he makes a judgment. Again, the asking of questions, it signals curiosity, it opens up the space for dialogue, and Partagaz does a masterful job of that here in this scene. So let's take a watch.
She's demanding the raw data from the incident on Ferrix.
The Starpath unit that was recovered at the scene has been traced to a theft at an airbase under my jurisdiction, sir.
She's overreaching to increase the size of her portfolio. She should spend more time on the security at her bases and less furthering her career.
Lieutenant Miro.
The stolen item has great value, sir, particularly to the rebels. Tracing its theft might expose activity in my sector.
People also take things for money, do they not? Is it worth creating this much intra-office friction in the
Question
pursuit of what seems like a straight-up case of a robbery gone awry?
Sir, it is my feeling that this is part of an ongoing effort
Two.
to steal proprietary Imperial equipment in anticipation of an organized rebellion. I have 3 previous case files on my desk that begin to suggest a pattern.
Your feeling?
I'm seeing signs of coordinated activity over a number of
3.
sectors.
What activity?
Similar items of interest, repeated methods.
4.
Gut instinct.
You came to us from enforcement.
Yes, sir.
Here, we act on vetted and verified information.
5 questions before he even makes a statement. Now, some of them are leading questions, right? When he's talking about the robbery gone awry, he's presenting an alternative perspective, but still opening that up to disagreement. He wants a dialogue. He's trying to understand what is going on. 5 questions in a matter of about a minute that he is using to gain information. This is great leadership on his part.
Alert me when this materializes into something more definite. Until then, confine future activities to your sectors. Thank you, Lieutenant.
And now he's going to set the expectation, he's going to end the discussion, and then he is going to do something masterful once Blevin leaves the room. Let's watch and then we'll break it down.
You have 2 sectors to supervise. Levin is handling 6. He does, I will admit, hew to the traditional viewpoint of this office and its staffing. He is, I'm sure, a challenge to work with. His quarterly reports, however, are in, and yours are not, and here we are spending your valuable time with this...
So Blevin is out now. Listen to this.
There's a high bar for your performance, Lieutenant. Unfair, perhaps, but senseless to ignore and potentially the foundation of a uniquely superior career. You're supposed to be more competent and tucked away. That's why you're here. That's why we're bringing in officers like you. Let's remind everyone of that and not get lost in the dust.
Yes, sir.
On a positive note, I was impressed with your detention numbers from Sev Top, far above the quota. Maybe sending more of that sort of work your way.
Thank you, sir.
We're done.
Okay, so let's break down what happened here, almost line by line. So Blevin leaves the room and Partagaz says you have 2 sectors to supervise. Blevin is handling 6. Statement of perspective setting. He has a lot heavier workload than you do. Focus on your own work. But then he follows that up with this empathizing. Again, here comes that emotional intelligence. He says, I will admit, hew to the traditional point of view of this office and its staffing. He is, I'm sure, a challenge to work with. It's that empathizing with Dedra that Blevin is not the easiest person to get along with. So we have the statement of perspective, the empathizing, and then we're going to come back to another perspective. So it's almost like this perspective sandwich that he's created. He says, his quarterly reports, however, are in and yours are not. And here we are spending your valuable time with this issue. So you're missing the expectation. So regardless of how you feel about Blevin, he's doing his work and you are not. And then he comes back to this empathizing statement of reality. He says, there's a high bar for your performance, Lieutenant. Unfair, perhaps. So statement of reality and empathizing. He's going back and forth between these two. And then he comes back to this statement of fact, this reality and perspective, that it is senseless to ignore and potentially the foundation of a uniquely superior career. You really need to button down, make sure you're focused on nailing every part of your action. And then there's this inspiration, this calling back to her core value and her core purpose. He says, you're supposed to be more competent and tucked away. That's why you're here. He's calling her out and inspiring her. It's like, you're better than this. You can rise above this petty conflict that Blevin is drawing you into. And then this flattery, but in a good way. He says, this is why we're bringing in officers like you. He's reaching out to her personally. Again, there's that emotional intelligence saying, you're better than this, and we need more people like you. It's a very inspiring thing that he is doing here. And then there's this call to action, not just to inspire Dedra, but to inspire the rest of the team. He says, let's remind everyone of that and not get lost in the dust. And so there's this masterful weaving of setting perspective, empathizing, missed expectations, empathizing, setting expectations, inspiring, and then rising to this call to action to go on and do better things. It is really an incredible breakdown of his leadership to see this. And this is why there's so much loyalty on his team, because he's doing this with Dedra, but you can be sure that he's doing this with everyone on his team, adjusting to their particular needs, but bringing this same level of empathy, perspective setting, this call to action of inspiration. And then he finishes the interaction with this compliment. On a positive note, I was impressed with your detention numbers from Sev Talk, far above quota. I may be sending more of that sort of work your way. Now, this is not a compliment sandwich. A compliment sandwich is when you have specific feedback to give to somebody, but instead of just giving that feedback, you put something nice on this side and then you put something nice on this side. It's really a waste of time because all the people hear is what's in the middle, and then the nice things on the side end up seeming perfunctory or ungenuine. So that is not what Partagaz is doing here. He is issuing a genuine compliment, and he is signaling that he values her contributions. So impressed with your numbers from Sev Talk, and then signaling, I might be sending more work your way. It's another inspiration to bring her back and say, hey, you can rise up. You're already doing this great work on Sev Talk, and I need you to bring that same level of commitment and dedication to the interactions on the two sectors that you are responsible for. So already in our first interaction with Partagaz here in episode 4, he's already setting the stage for building a healthy culture within his team. He has the emotional intelligence. We're going to see that dial up in future episodes. He has the deep listening. He's asking the questions. Again, in this scene, 5 questions before making a statement, and he's setting clear expectations. We saw that with the deadlines in that earlier scene. We see it here with Dedra and Blevin, where Dedra missed her expectations and he's calling her back to that. Just a lot of good things that Partagaz is doing in his leadership here. So that's all for this episode. Partagaz doesn't show up again until episode 6, and that is going to be for a brief 16 seconds on screen. We'll take a quick peek at that, and then we are going to dive into episode 7, his longest time on screen. And there's a lot of interesting things that come out from his leadership in episode 7. So check back for that episode. Hit subscribe if you want to make sure you don't miss anything in this series on Major Partagaz's leadership analysis. And if there is a TV or movie character that you want me to analyze their leadership, drop that in the comment. I'll take a look and do my best to get that video made for you guys. Till next time, take care.